three would be a better academic choice. Yeah.
First one. Okay. Okay.
But we see from some of the other things that are said here that they're using personal style a lot. They're using we to talk about the writers, or about, a group that the writers and readers belong to together. So, we know that it's not strictly academic. So instead, what we've got is it's a bit of a narrative in that, in easier said than done, we did these things in the past. Um, yeah, but then perhaps most importantly, so of the things that they talked about in that work, one of them was most important. Um, Strategies that people use, commitment devices are some of the strategies. So it's like, these are the things we talked about. This is one of the most important ones. And then among that within that most important one, here's a particular kind of device. So they're kind of moving from a big list to an aspect of that list or an item on that list to an element in that item. And then sentence three is kind of a summative, like it's drawing a conclusion from working through those steps. But I agree. Sentence three is the one that looks more like a good topic sentence um, if this were not, I guess, a little less academic. So these are strategies that people can use to overcome hurdles and initiate changes. Um, Among those strategies are commitment devices. So in sentence one, it says these include commitment devices where you make it unattractive to not follow through on an intention. So that's one strategy among others. Um, Changing existing behavior can be a difficult task, but with the help of these strategies, new behaviors can become habitual. Um, so that's referring, I think, to maybe to the general strategies or maybe to commitment devices. It's a bit ambiguous, actually. Why three has to come later than four because of these strategies. Yeah, but I think it's referring back to sentence two rather than to sentence one. Mm. Um, so I think I think the problem here is that this is quite a complex little um, set of modifiers. Uh, we make something very unattractive. We make ourselves unattractive, really, if we don't follow through on an intention. So I think an example of a commitment device would be promising someone something. If you said, I promise I will do this, and then later on you have done the thing you said you wouldn't do, that person won't like you as much. They won't trust you. It's unattractive. Promise. If you make a promise directly to someone that you're going to follow through on an intention, that you're going to do something that you've promised to do, that's actually much more powerful than just saying to yourself, "Oh, I probably shouldn't do that anymore," or "I probably should, you know, change my behavior," because there's a consequence if you don't do what you said you'd do, that someone won't trust you or like you anymore. So they're taking, because this is about behavioral science and about strategies, they're kind of using a more abstract or maybe mechanistic language to label those things. So instead of just saying, um, you know, these include promising, or these include making commitments to others, which would be more concrete. They're labeling them as a kind of category of thing, commitment devices. So I reckon if you looked up behavioral science and commitment devices, it would be a term, a phrase that's used. Um, yeah, using initiatives to change behavior. Commitment devices is behavior change support systems. Acting against one's judgment, better judgment. So you make it easier. It's a technique, see, for making it easier for yourself. Um, yeah, atomic habits. Yeah, they they want to put behavioral cues in place. So, like, I think one of these, like, let's say that you spend a lot of money on your credit card and you wanted to change that. Sometimes people recommend things like freeze your credit card in a block of ice. If you want to spend money on it, you have to wait till the ice melts. I think that's the kind of thing they're talking about. Like, you're not just making a commitment, you're putting something in place that makes it harder to stop doing the right thing. So they also talk about nudges, like little cues that push you in the right direction that you can set up in advance. And I think that's what they mean. Like, maybe like you've decided that you're going to go for a run every morning. So every night you try and make it a habit to lay out your sneakers and your exercise clothes so that it's really easy to get up and do it. I think that's the kind of thing they're talking about here. Mm. With an intention would be better, but on an intention, follow through on something. It's a kind of informal way of saying to ensure that you do it, to follow through on. Um, Presented reasons. They've given reasons. Yeah,
So set out means present, and it is informal, as you said.
yeah.
And
Down, exercising as a thing that you can do.
oh, okay.
Um, or let's say that to get through your job, you need to drink lots of coffee,
Oh,
and then you
okay.
get home and you can't sleep. So I think they're talking about how it's,
These are
and also
hurdles. Yeah.
it can be hard to make yourself do the thing you know you need. Like, you might know that you need to go to sleep, kind of to go to bed at 9:30 so that you'll be
Yeah.
well rested for the next day. But maybe there's something you want to read or watch on TV, or maybe there's one last piece of work you want to get done, whatever it is.
Okay.
Um, mm,
So, as you said, these are some kind of hurdles, and we need to overcome these hurdles. And it said that these include commitment devices.
yeah.
So these is refers to what here? What's your idea here?
The
It,
strategies.
the
So the
strategies,
strategies
yeah,
to overcome the hurdles
is
include what
exactly.
they call commitment
Mm,
devices. And I there's a good example here of a commitment device. You restrict yourself voluntarily so that you can have self-control more easily later. And the example they give is from the Odyssey, the ancient Greek tale where um, Odysseus gets his sailors to tie him to the mast so that he
it-
can listen to the song of the sirens but won't throw himself into the ocean, which is what happens when you hear that. So
can we
yeah, so
yeah,
there's this, it's a classic story. When people hear the sirens song, they throw themselves into the ocean and they die. It's a magical song. But Odysseus wants to hear the song without also trying to kill himself. He gets his sailors to tie him to the mast so that he can They all have to block their ears, so that's also a commitment device. Makes it harder to listen. But for him, so that he knows he won't do the wrong thing, he gets himself tied up.
So yeah.
He has lots of encounters with mythical beings, and he
Mhm.
has to kind of outwit them. So with the sirens, the sirens sing so beautifully that people go mad and throw themselves in the ocean. But he wants to hear their song without also killing himself. So
Oh, okay, I got
he
it.
finds he in advance he says, "Tie me up so that I can't
Time.
do that."
Okay, I got it. Perfect.
So it could be like, let's say that you really have a problem with alcohol, and your friends keep inviting you to the pub, and you could say to yourself, "Oh, I'll just go along and I'll order a Coke instead." Or you could say, in advance, you could say to your friends, "Let's go and meet at a cafe, not at the pub. And if you want to order wine at the cafe, you can, but I'm going to have coffee." So you're kind of you're setting things up so that it's harder to do the thing that you will harm you. They'll withdraw cash, only the amount that they can spend for the week, and then they put their card away. It's the same idea, but they freeze it in ice.